Hi everybody, back for another reading. Well, part of this busy week, and don't forget tomorrow is March 24th and March for Our Lives, so I'm hoping that's going to be totally epic. It'll be Sunday in Australia, so we'll just have to wait. Now, this reading was going to be about Rebecca Mercer. Awful creature. And I was reading up on her, and I don't think you can really separate father and daughter. So I was looking at Robert Mercer and the information on him. I was looking at an article in Vox and the Wall Street Journal and a few different sources. And what's interesting is the Paradise Papers. You know, they were an expose of offshore holdings by a lot of wealthy people in the world. And he had, you might be surprised to know, money stashed offshore. Who would have dreamt of such a thing? But the interesting thing is he used that money, the dark money, to fund the opposition stuff into Hillary. So now I'm wondering, is it possible that the Mercers might be brought down in all this? So I thought I'd have a look. Now, another thing that's happened this week too is there's been rumblings in the stock market, thanks to Trump's 1950s sort of ideas of where to go next. In fact, they're not 1950s, they're sort of 1930s ideas of protectionism, really. And the market, just generally, some of you will have seen my reading on the stock market. I think there's going to be a few rumbles. I don't see a crash. I think it's going to be rumbling away. It can actually lose quite a lot because it artificially went up so high and hasn't responded to Trump. But it's good that it started responding to him. But I'd be much more careful next year, people. 2019, I think rates are going to go up, the stock market's going to drift down, and I don't see a plummet, but I see an erosion of the stock market next year, not this year. I think we'll see a few more wobbles. Okay, so here we go on the Mercers. Robert Mercer and Rebecca. Is there a Mother Mercer? She's invisible. Robert and Rebecca. What's going on with the Mercers? Let's have a general sort of view of what's happening here. Come on down. Okay, funny I should mention the Mother. Okay, in the middle, the Chariot, boom, very focused, out to prove a point, warrior motion. Okay, there's a warrior energy to the Chariot. Under that, though, there's sort of, this card I've described before as hasty revenge. I'm not seeing it so much as revenge at the moment as hastiness generally. And if you look very closely, this is a female warrior, or at least a very androgynous warrior. So I think Rebecca's the one out of the three sisters who has followed Daddy with the Chariot into the business world, and she's really leapt at this chance. She has bounded in, and as I'm sure most of you know, she is the one he has appointed as the one to carry on his businesses. Sorry, I just need to go back to Robert for a minute. You have to be suspicious of people who make sudden and great fortunes, don't you, really? Or at least I do. Okay, he was involved in artificial intelligence, which will be responsible, of course, for putting so many millions of people out of work around the world, but there will no doubt be some benefits of artificial intelligence. Don't ask me to name them. Okay, so that was him, and then he became a hedge fund manager. Is that really a job? What do you do? I don't know. Okay, so just backing up here. Now we have the Queen of Wands. This may be Rebecca, or it might be the mystery mother, because usually it's a slightly older woman. And like all the cards, there's a spectrum. So the Queen of Wands, when it's positive, is this loving mother who makes sure everyone gets to express their higher selves and supports people in their every endeavour and looks after people. However, given that she married Robert Mercer and he's gone out of his way to be a force for destruction, and she's given birth to Rebecca, and obviously has been influential in her thinking, which is you matter and no one else does. There's the black cat. There's willpower. This is a very strong personality, and I think she might be the sort of sleeper in this dynamic. So, given that I'm interested in whether one or both of them will be indicted, possibly, we have the Hierophant, the system, law and order. So on one hand, you could say this is Robert Mercer as a sort of Pope-like figure and the monks looking up to him, but more traditionally, it is the system catching up with people. Another interruption, another snippet that gives you an insight into this family and why I don't think we're talking about a positive Queen of Wands. Apparently there's been a court action by their household staff, you can imagine what they would be paid generally, because Robert Mercer often docks their pay and doesn't pay the overtime rates they're due. Why is that? What is it with very rich people that they screw the people under them? Isn't that terrible? Or am I just being mean? I don't think so. These people are working for them as if they can't pay overtime. Ugh. Dreadful, dreadful. Okay. Into the recent past. Not surprisingly, Ace of Pentacles, all the money in the world, all the power that goes with money. But a little stormy weather on the side. And, you'll love this, viewers, a hedge. The hedge fund manager. Repeating the same experience, which in this case, or in Rebecca's case, could be repeating the mistakes of getting into bed too closely with Cambridge Analytica. Okay, I'm pleased to report they're feeling rather embattled. For such privileged souls, they feel they're hard done by. Don't you love that? Anyway, they're in a series of battles. This is interesting. I thought it might just be wishful thinking on my behalf, but you've got the Hierophant, the system, and them feeling embattled. Oh, if I could clap and read cards at the same time, I would. Coming up very shortly, Retreat, the Hermit. Now, this shouldn't surprise anyone either. I think he's a bit more outgoing than Rebecca, but Rebecca is definitely weird. And she's never been interviewed on the record. The Hermit. So I think that's her. Oh, possibly jail. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that very interesting? And it's beside the embattled card. Now, this could be their fear of going to jail rather than a literal outcome of a court case. But they're beginning to think, gulp, you know what? We might be in deep caca. Okay? That's not a happy card. Okay. Acting over that, ooh, a big club. The blunt instrument is acting on that. Now, the blunt instrument, in the personal dynamic in the family, it could be the father being quite blunt in his relationship to her. It wouldn't surprise me. Powerful men can often be very domineering to live with. Or it could be a more external club. In any event, there's always energy with the aces. This is the intention of someone to club them about the face and head. Okay, in environmental terms, this is a bit softer. Temperance. So it could be that this is Robert Mercer being really aggressive within the family and someone in the family saying calm down. It could be the wife who has that much influence and says calm down, it's not a good look. Or it could be that if this is a more general card coming at them, they're regrouping, right, and stepping back and going, we can afford very good lawyers. It might be okay. So you can choose which of those interpretations rings more true for you. Coming up is the Page of Wands, the orator, the speaker, the messenger. I'm wondering if we're going to hear from a spokesman for the Mercers. Given the hermit factor, they might be feeling they need to make some sort of public statement. So I wouldn't be surprised if that comes out. Something along the lines of, Rebecca Mercer just funded these organisations. She didn't know about Cambridge Analytica being a really bad organisation. However, lest we forget, it was Robert who founded it, right? He then handed it over to Rebecca. He founded it. Background in artificial intelligence. In the articles I've been reading, what form did this take, this spying on people in Facebook and actually abusing the privacy by targeting people in that way, was by bots, which are a form of artificial intelligence. So I wonder how innocent it all is. Further out we have the Knight of Wands. Okay, I would suggest this is, especially since I'm thinking this is a spokesman for the family, this is going to be quite an aggressive response by the family, the pushback, if you like, if they are sort of being hauled into the dragnet of the Mueller investigation. But it's quite cautious as well. There's an element of caution. And this could represent their legal team. What's coming out there? More fights ahead for the Mercers. Fights ahead. Small victory, but lucky it's not a popularity contest, because this is someone who wins. As a family, they're used to winning. But again, no one likes them. The backs of the other figures are to the winner. So this could be an indication of they're not that interesting as people anyway in their own social circle. It's only their sheer money and power that gets them invitations. I think they're going to be more socially isolated, and that to them is a big deal. Could be interesting. We'll keep tabs on the Mercers, but I wouldn't rule out, if not an indictment in this round, in the wash-up of all this stuff, I would not be surprised if there weren't some legal complications, serious legal complications for the Mercers. Now, I thought I'd give you a little bit extra today. I've had requests for Melania. What's happening for Melania? So give me a moment to get the cards happening again. I need to give them a good shuffle. And we'll just have a little look-see. With Melania. Mixing them up here. Going through the card. Oh, Melania, what are you up to? Is she going to walk? What is going to happen with Melania? Okay, Melania Trump. Oops, I'll tell you about that in a moment. Okay, what's happening, Melania? What's going on in her brain? Melania Trump. Melania. Another one. Okay, two cards have fallen out. Could be my sloppy shuffling. Her signifier, disappointment and turning away. Why wouldn't you be disappointed? And the other is walking away. We've all been convinced, I'm sure, since the beginning that she signed something. I'm sure she signed a prenup, getting bugger all if the marriage ended. She could also have had her arm twisted to sign something more recently. She's not to leave him while he's president. Well, that wouldn't surprise any of us. But she is going. I mean, the humiliation with all these tawdry cases you'd think would be enough. So I'm just going to do a short reading. Yes. So, as I said, she's wounded. She's going at some point. Across here, she's been given advice, I'd say legal advice, what her situation is. 10 of Swords. I mean, all that public humiliation for the toughest person in the world would be very hard to take, and she's had plenty of it. She needs to go for her own sanity. Temperance. So she was hanging in either because of legal threats or him threatening to take the child or whatever, but her sanity and her well-being is now at stake, and I think she's going to go anyway, and I think she's had legal advice. And the legal advice could well be saying something along the lines, if you're going to leave him and break an agreement, this is the time to do it. Which judge is ever going to say that Donald Trump is a fantastic full-time custodial parent. I think she should go ahead and do it. I hope she goes ahead and does it. That's what I see for now. All right, everyone. Bye for now. Go the young things.